Good morning. I'll use the mic. I am really honored to share my testimony. I am a bit nervous, but I was raised in a traditional home, a loving home actually, and I even went to a Methodist church, but I was very insecure. I wanted to please others, but I felt like I was never good enough. Even as a really small child, I was constantly trying to please people, and I could just see that I could never do a good enough job. So I experienced life through the eyes of rejection, and I felt like a burden. I felt worthless, unlovable, and I was very sad and lonely. And the church did not seem to help me in this area, but I was pretty young whenever I attended this church, and I didn't know how to communicate what I was feeling to anybody, actually. But then in 8th grade, my 8th grade biology class, I studied evolution, which taught that life formed from non-life spontaneously, and that given enough time, one creature can change into another kind of creature. And this teaching really resonated with the deep sadness that I was feeling. It confirmed what I felt, that I was less than, worthless, just a random combination of genes, without purpose. And my only hope was trying to be better than I knew I actually was. So I started to work really, really hard with people, trying to impress people. And I became a seeking evolutionist. I just coined that term. I was an avid evolutionist, okay? And in my heart, I left the church. My school years were full of anxiety and depression. I was performance-driven, striving to be somebody, pretending with others that I was better than I was. I was exhausted. I had racing thoughts. I had an eating disorder for a time, loneliness and isolation. I really had no friends. And I went to university to study evolutionary anthropology. I was really going after this evolution thing. But I didn't do very well because I was too anxious and too depressed, and I couldn't get out of my bed after a time. I couldn't complete my assignments, couldn't even go to class. I know, it worked out well. But my second summer in university, I got a job as an aquatics director at a church camp, and that's where I met Keith, and my husband. And it just very briefly, we were meeting at one time, like during the weekend, and I brought my evolution books because I was evangelizing evolution, and Keith brought his Bible, and I was like, okay. So 1 year later, I was in South Africa by this time. Keith was back in South Africa, and to be near him, I went to South Africa. And we were attending a church, Dakaya Church, and the people were so loving at this church. They were so welcoming and genuine and really cared about me, and I was just blown away. I had never experienced love that was like this. They didn't require anything from me. I didn't have anything to give, nothing, and they still pursued me in relationships. So there was something very different going on at this church, and I loved it. And I attended it for about 4 months when the pastor's wife, Lizette, she called me into her office one day, and that sounded bad, but she asked me if I wanted to meet, and I said yes. So I went to her office, and she asked me if I was enjoying the church. I said yes, and she asked me if I had decided to give my life to Jesus. And I thought, well, no, not really. This evolution thing, I don't really know. I don't want to be wrong, you know. And well, she gave me an ultimatum here to help me. She said that she could see I had trouble making a decision, that if I wanted to continue coming to the church, you know, that I would really need to make a decision for Christ. And if I didn't, it was fine, that I could just not attend this church for a while just to see if that's really what I wanted in life. And of course, I knew that's not what I wanted, because on that side of things was anxiety and depression. And so out of desperation, I really made a decision for Christ. And she did this awesome thing where she had me write it on a piece of paper, and she folded it up and tucked it into her desk drawer and said, if I ever forgot what decision I made, then I can come and look. She's not going to move it. And it might still be there today. I have to ask her. But so at that moment that I did make that decision for Christ, I knew that there was a right and a wrong. I knew that God did love me and that God was the authority of my life. I was not. I couldn't decide what I was going to do or what I liked or my opinion. It was God, and his word was final. And so then I was introduced to a ministry, an Answers in Genesis ministry, that really blessed me, that helped me to see that science was not disproving God, but that operational science does confirm the existence of God. And I developed a love for Genesis and the creation story. God knew me before he laid the foundation of the world. I am made in his image, unique, made with a purpose. All the pain and the suffering, the failing and the death that I experienced in the world was the result of sin. Death was not the hero, like an evolution story, but my enemy and your enemy is death, and Jesus defeated death on the cross. So fast forward, I started attending church, Rock Church 13 years ago, and the leaders, Dan and Terry, taught with passion the grace of God, and my eyes were opened and are still being opened, and Josiah now being a leader in the church, to the depth of his finished work on the cross. I am encouraged daily to die to self so that Christ can live in me and through me. There is practical experience here in cell group and in this body to walk in unconditional love. I am given unconditional love, the truth, correction, friendship, and the grace that I cannot do life without. I'm so thankful for my church family, so thankful. And I just want to end by saying that today I have a strong, believing husband who puts truth above opinions and emotions, yet is understanding and loving. I have 4 beautiful, unique, loving, fun, and very active kiddos that I get to love and train up. And I get to teach them about their Creator, and together we discover God's world in homeschool. And I'm discovering my passion for learning and teaching, and I have a community to do life with. So I have all these blessings, and they're from God and for his glory. So thank you, guys, for listening.